let's go back to your homework page. Now, this top part, it says circle all the terms that can be combined with 3A. So what were the numbers that you circled for this top part? Ronnie?
14 and 4A.
Okay, was there anything else?
9.
All right. Next one says draw a square around the terms that can be combined with 4B. So what do we do there, Cristiano?
I boxed in 3B and 16.
Okay, anything else? All right, underline all terms that can be combined with A squared.
3A2, 3A squared,
Okay.
and then 73A squared.
Okay. Anything else? What about 5A squared? Oh, sorry, that's just the third. All right, so that's it. And then the last one says draw an X through all the terms that can be combined with 5. All right, Noah? Huh? 117. Anything else? All right, how do we do with the top part? We okay? All right, now, for this part through here, if you did not show me how you combine the like terms, you did not get credit for your homework. What that means is, if it's not circled on here, or you're not doing it on here, you're not getting credit. If you're just giving me an answer, I didn't give you credit today. All right? So, someone give me one that they want to go over. All right, Zoe? Number 15? All right, so number 15 is 4R plus 4Y minus 8. All right, so with this one, can we combine anything? No, so that is the answer that it is. Okay? All right, what about another one? Which one?
22.
22. So we have 13R plus plus 5S minus 2R. So can we combine anything in this question?
13
So we can do the 13R and then minus 2R. So on our paper, here or here, so we're on number 22, so 13R plus 5S minus 2R. We are going to do 13R minus 2R, which is going to give us what? Noah? 11R, and then we just bring down our 5S. Okay? All right. What about another one? Cristiano?
32.
32. So we have 0t minus 9t plus 6u plus 4u to the 5th power. So are there any terms we can combine here?
0t
So 0t and minus 9t. So 32, 0t minus 9t plus 6u plus 4u to the 5th. So 0t minus 9t, what does that become? Mikhail? Negative 9t. And then we're just gonna bring everything else down. So we have negative 9t plus 6u plus 4u to the 5th. Okay, questions about that one? All right, any others you wanna go over from this section? So is it really that hard of work?
No.
So there's really no reason that we didn't do this other than we just didn't do it, right?
Yeah.
You're not solving really anything. You're not having to substitute. You're simply adding or subtracting things. All right, let's go down to the last part, 37 through 42. So this part was the part that I knew that we would, if we struggled with anything, it was going to be this bottom section. Now, it gives you very explicit directions. It says when part of an expression is over or under a division bar, you must act as if that part of the expression is inside parentheses. Use PEMDAS to decide if you can simplify the expression any further. Alright, so this is not a fraction, this is what? It's not a fraction, this is what?
Division sign?
It's a division sign. So which one do we want to go over for this one? Kaya? Or Kyra, sorry.
38.
38. Alright, so 38, you have 3x squared divided by 12 minus 4x squared. Alright, how do you think, I want to refocus, how do you think we would do this? What do you think?
I think that's just the answer.
Right, that's just the answer. Okay? So that is just the answer, because technically the top and the bottom are separate problems. And because we don't have a value for x, we can't solve this and do the division outright, right? So that would just be the answer for number 38. Alright, let's do number 37. Alright, so number 37 has 14r plus 12s, and then we have divided by 4s minus 10s. Is there anything we can combine here? What do you think we can combine? William, what do you think we can combine?
4s minus 10s.
Okay? So we have 14r plus 12s divided by 4s minus 10s. Alright, we are combining negative 10s plus 4. Alright, so if I did my 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then I did 1, 2, 3, 4, that cancels. How many negatives do I have left? How many? 6. So this becomes 14r plus 12s divided by negative 6s. Okay? So that is how you do the bottom section. Alright, anybody else have any other questions about the bottom? None? For no questions, and a lot of kids, you didn't do this. Why didn't you do your homework? Like, be honest with me. Why?
I did it this morning because I forgot about it.
Okay. Fair enough.
I had computer, so I was working on computer as well.
And that's fine. Alright, whoever did do their homework, why didn't you do it? Leo?
I want to say why I didn't do this part is because I did this part this morning in here, and then we had to have the homework check, so I didn't finish this. And honestly, it looked pretty confusing to me.
Okay, fair enough. I did have a student tell me that they didn't understand the bottom part, but they at least tried, so I did give them credit. So sometimes, like just writing on your paper and trying, I don't have a problem giving you credit, but if you're not gonna do it at all, then it's kind of like, meh. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you struggle with something, baby, just say, hey, Miss Kenny, I tried my best, here's what I did. Okay? Delilah, you had your hand raised? Why did you do your homework? Fair enough. I get that. That's understandable. Math is not important when that happens. I get it. Jonathan?
I did my homework because I still had that orange pass that I got like a year ago to Trustable.
So you did some of it, but then just decided to use it on the rest of it? I mean, you did have like,
I don't think we'll give me credit because I'm kind of bad at showing work for algebra and stuff.
alright. So there's nothing else y'all wanna go over. We're gonna go ahead and get started with today. Okay? You can use a highlighter, color pencil, marker, crayon, that's fine. Again, make sure you have this written down. Alright, so our essential question that we're gonna be focusing on for today, tomorrow, and Monday. How do I simplify an expression using distributive property? So the word distributive means to essentially like give out, pass out, separate. So when you're thinking about distributive property in math, you are giving the number away. And the way that you give the number away is by multiplying. Okay, so distributive property, or distribute in math is gonna mean multiply. So keep that in mind. And we can even highlight that word. Alright, so distributing using the GCF. So we gotta take it back a step, and someone please tell me, what does GCF stand for? What does GCF stand for? Emma?
Greatest common factor.
So greatest common factor. And so do we use the tall T or the sideways T when we find GCF? Christiana? Tall T. Alright, so that is what we're essentially going to be using today when we're dealing with distributive property. It's one of the easiest ways I feel like learning how to distribute property. Yeah. Alright, so it says when a number is beside the parentheses with no other operations between them, we multiply. This is extremely important. Please highlight it. So multiply the GCF. GCF is the number on the outside of the parentheses by the first number inside the parentheses. Repeat with the second number and then write your new expression. And the format for this one essentially is your factor plus your factor. So whatever number and number that we're essentially going to be finding the GCF for is what the format is. Alright, so we are going to do our distributive property. So this is, the GCF is already pulled out for us. You're going to see this a lot where you have to distribute that 5 into your parentheses. So what that means is you're going to take 5 and you're going to multiply by 3. And then you're going to take 5 and multiply it by 2. So when you distribute, you multiply. You guys make it a little bit, make it a little bit. And what you're going to do is you're going to take and put parentheses here. And you're going to put parentheses here. And you're going to do 5, bless you, times 3, and 5 times 2. Okay, so 5 times 3, 5 times 2. How do we know what goes in between our parentheses? Does anybody have an idea what we put in between our parentheses? Caleb?
We need the answer of it as a whole, so
We add, but we're not always going to add. How do you know we're going to add? Because sometimes there might be a subtraction. So how do we know in this instance we're adding?
I don't really know how to say it.
Okay, that's fine. Mikhail? So in our original problem, there's only an addition symbol, right? So we have to essentially add. If there is a subtraction symbol in your parentheses, what are you going to do? You're going to subtract. So from this point, we just do order of operation. So we got to get rid of our parentheses first. So 5 times 3 is what? 15. Plus 5 times 2? 10. And then 15 times 10 is what? Nope. I'm sorry, 15 plus 10. My fault. 25. Now, if I just solved this original problem and I did order of operation, so I got rid of my parentheses first, what is 3 times 5? Or 3 times, never mind. What is 3 plus 2?
What?
It's okay, because clearly I don't even know what I'm doing today, so I would accept 6 at this point. Alright, so if we're looking at this problem right here, I'm trying to get rid of the parentheses. I cannot for the life of me say the correct operations today. So, inside parentheses, we have 3 plus 2. What does that give us? You can just call it out. 5. So then this becomes 5 times 5, which gives us what? 25. So we know we've done it right because both of these equal each other. Does that make sense? So that's kind of a way for you to check to make sure. Yes, ma'am?
When I read it earlier, I read it as 6, so I was like, why is that 30 for the rest of the 25?
See, you're on my level today. All right. How do we feel about that? Not terribly hard? Taking the number on the outside, multiplying it by the numbers on the inside. That's really what you're doing. All right. So let's do it for the next one. So we have 7 times 8 plus 6. So we're going to distribute our 7 to the 8 and to the 6, which means we're going to multiply. And then we're going to do parentheses, 7 times 8 plus 7 times 6. Now, how do I know I'm adding? How do I know I'm adding? Troy?
Because the addition symbol is in the parentheses with the 8 and 6.
Perfect, because there's an addition symbol in our parentheses and between the 8 and the 6. All right, so from here, what is 7 times 8? Zoe? 56. I'm going to add that, and what is 7 times 6? Olivia? 42. So when I do 56 plus 42, raise your hand, what do I get? Jonathan? 98. All right, can I check to make sure I did this right? How can I do that? All right, what is 8 plus 6? Emma?
14.
14. And when I do 7 times 14, what do I get? When I do 7 times 14, what do I get? Kathy? 98. All right, so I know that I've done something correct. So that is one way that you're going to see distributive properties. So the factor is on the outside of your parentheses, and you just have to distribute it in. The other way that you're going to see it is when you have to pull out the GCF. So this is where our GCF comes in handy. So you have to find the GCF of the two numbers, divide each of the numbers by the GCF, and then rewrite the expression by putting the GCF on the outside of the parentheses. And, goodness gracious. And putting the quotient of each number on the inside. So the format for this one is GCF times the factor plus the factor. Alright, the first example that we're going to do is 12 plus 8. So I'm going to go over here in this space and I'm going to find the GCF of 12 and 8. So I'm going to do my tall T. I'm going to do 12 on this side, 8 on this side. Raise your hand and tell me the factors for 12. So what are the numbers we multiply together to get 12? Mikhail? 1 times 12. 2 times 6, 3 times 4, so we don't have to do any more because we'll start repeating. Perfect. Alright, so we have 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. Come on. When there becomes too many words that are small on the screen, it has a really hard time focusing. So then it just goes blurry. Alright, so now the factors for 8. So raise your hand and tell me, what are the factors for 8? Noah. 1 times 8. 2 times 4. Anything else? 3 times 2?
Oh, wait, no. I already finished.
So we're good then, right? That's it. Alright, so now let's circle the GCF. So that is the greatest number that is in both of them. So is it 12, 6, 4, 8, 4? What's it going to be? The greatest number that is in both of those. Christiana? 4. I want you to circle this in a different color. Alright? Now, the thing I love about if we do this correctly is it already gives you your answer for the numbers on the inside. Because whatever you multiply this by is what goes on the inside. So I'm going to put 4 on the outside, and then I'm going to take 3 and 2. I'm going to do 3 plus 2. And that is how you pull the GCF out and figure out the numbers that go on the inside. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand where I got the 3 and the 2 from?
Yes.
Okay, raise your hand if you're like, I'm not really sure. Okay, so what do you multiply 4 by to get 8?
2.
Okay, so that's where my 2 came from.
Oh, and then 3 times 2 is 12.
Yes. Yep. Or if you want to add an extra step in just to check, you can do 12 divided by 4, which will give you 3. And then you can do 8 divided by 4, which gives you 2. And that is where your answers come from. But like I said, if you use GCF and you do it correctly, your answers are right next to the GCF. Stop now. Whatever you're doing, cut it out. Do you understand? Put your hand on the table. All right, let's go over the next one. So this one's a little bit more difficult because why? Why is this one going to be a little bit more difficult? Emma?
It's two-digit numbers and they're large two-digit numbers.
Right, they're just bigger numbers. All right, so again, we're going to do our tall T, and we're going to do 48 on one side and then 56 on the other side. So go ahead and we'll do the factors together again just because these are not such bigger numbers, but they are larger numbers. All right, so the first one is going to be 1 times 48. All right, then we have 2 times what? You can just call it out. 24. 3 times 16. 4 times 12. And then 6 times 8. All right, so those are the only factors that go into 48. You all right? Okay. All right, now for 56, we have 1 times 56. 2 times, you guys know?
27.
Times 27.
28.
28. Then we have 4 times
A number.
14. 4 times 14. And then we have 7 times 8. All right, what is our GCF? What is the biggest number in both columns that are the same in both columns? Sorry, I did not say that correctly. Leo? 8. So again, we're going to circle that 8 in a different color. And what does the 6 and the 7 next to our 8 mean? What does the 6 and the 7 next to the 8 mean? Kaya? Yes, perfect. So we put our 8 on the outside, and then we put 6 plus 7 on the inside. All right, what do you guys think of distributive property? Seems like okay. Do you have a question? You don't like it? So it is one of those skills that you learn, but it's wonderful. Does that make sense? So just learn it enough to understand it. For
What did I do?
May. And then you can forget about it till then. Okay? Unfortunately, this is something that doesn't go away in school, but I don't know how you're really gonna use it in the real world unless you go to a very specific job. Sorry. Alright, you are going to want to keep your notes out today, because you are gonna need them for your practice that you're doing.
It's actually
Huh?
Wait,
You may. What? I'm sorry. Guys, I don't understand what you don't understand. If I am using any kind of color on the screen and I tell you to use color and you choose not to, I'm going to get very aggravated. Why do we not use colors? If you don't have any, what do you do if you don't have any? Ask. You have a pencil pouch right there with colors in it. I don't even understand. Alright, so this should not be a terribly hard homework for you guys. Let's just look at it real quick so I know that you understand what you're doing. So, on this side, it says use the distributed property and combine like terms to simplify each expression. Find your answer in one of the two answer boxes. Find the problem number on the coloring page and color each section with the number that the color corresponds to your answer. Alright, so here, we're not going to do our work on this page. There's not enough room. But you're going to write number 1, and this is going to be your homework page, sorry. So number 1 is 3 times x minus 2 plus 5. So what is the first thing we have to do here? Excuse me. What's the first thing we have to do, Christiana?
X minus 2 since it's in the parentheses.
No.
Oh,
We just did distributed property, right?
all that.
We gotta get rid of our parentheses by doing what? By what?
I'm still used to that.
Well, it's kind of PEMDAS in a way, because we are getting rid of our parentheses. And the reason you can't add first is because there's a variable. Does that make sense? So you can't add you can't subtract x minus 2 because you don't know what x is. So you have to distribute. So you're gonna take 3 times x and 3 times negative 2. So this becomes 3x minus 6 plus 5. And do not get caught up with the negative. Like you're simply doing 3 times 2. Okay, and then you're just bringing all of your information down. That's all you're doing. So don't be like, Kenny, how'd you figure out? I didn't, I just multiplied. Okay? Now, are there like terms that we can combine here? Not 6 and 5.
6 and plus 5.
Not 6 and plus 5.
Negative 6 and plus 5.
Yes. So we have these two that we are combining. And what am I using? So what should you be using? Color. Boy, they children. Alright, so if I have negative 6, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I have plus 5, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many can I get rid of? How many of these can I get rid of? No, 5. So I essentially can cross out those. They're gone. So now this becomes 3x minus 1. And on my answer sheet over here, which one has 3x minus 1 on it? Mikhail. So again, which one has our answer? What color? Black. So you can circle this one, and then over here on your picture, you're gonna find one, and then you're gonna color it in black. Yes, you have to color it. Yes, you have to. So sorry for your bad luck. Alright, you have 9 more problems. Doing it the same way that this example is right here. Okay? If you are confused or not sure, please come and ask for help today. Do not sit there, do not do it. 9 problems. And you have about 26 minutes. Okay? Before we begin our fun Friday. Go ahead, get started, y'all.